Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker. What's going on, K Walker and Jay?
All is well, all is well. We're back, guys. We're back. A little layoff, but we're here. We're here. Looking
Yeah,
forward to a great one.
everything's good. It's gonna be a good show tonight. It's gonna be a good one.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a little layoff. It's a little hot. I need some rain in my life right now. I don't know. I know I'm looking crazy because I'm saying it's hot with a jacket on. That's because I'm indoors and I got the heat on. I mean the air on cold blast right now. But
That's
outside,
comfortable right there.
it's hot as I don't know what. But we've been gone for a while. We back. Actually, only a week to be
Yeah,
honest with
right.
you. But we back. What's going on, guys? Let's see if we got anybody saying, "Hey, Sandra T, always there, right on time. We
Appreciate you
appreciate it.
guys.
What's
Appreciate
What's
it.
up,
going on,
Sandy? What's
Sandy?
up, Sean? They're faithful, man. The
Hey,
family is
appreciate it.
faithful.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
For sure.
appreciate
Absolutely.
y'all.
We absolutely appreciate it. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Sideline Speaks. We're also on X, aka Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, at Sideline Speaks. Please like, subscribe, and share our channel. We would greatly appreciate it. We're slowly but surely growing this channel. But you guys ready to talk some sports?
Let's
Let's
do it.
do it.
All right, so we got to get into it because it is Olympic time and there's a lot of exciting things going on right now in the Olympics. And I want to talk about this particular person, and that's Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles, as we know, just won a 100-meter race, men's 100-meter race. Let me make that clear, in 9.784 seconds. And there's a reason why I had to put the four on the back end there. But he won to win the gold medal. And he became the first United States, first U.S. I don't know why I'm saying United States, but first U.S. man to win it in 20 years. 20 years. And then with a very close second was Jamaica's Thompson in a 9.789 seconds.
Yeah.
Whew, my goodness. If you know how tight that is extremely tight. I just want to know your thoughts on the race itself when you guys were watching it. K-Walk, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
Yeah, Britt, I'm looking at this, and he didn't get a good start, by any stretch, but he hung in there. And when I'm looking at it, I look at, the guy that's in the lead, and I think it was, I forget who was in the lead, but nonetheless, it wasn't Lyles. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know. I think he finished third, and that's how close it was. It looked like he finished third, and then I forget who came in second, but who came in third. But they look like either one of those three, their first three, looked like they could have won that race. So when I'm looking at it, I'm just looking like I don't know who won this. We really got to go to a photo finish. So when it showed it and they said it wasn't the hand, it's not the face, it's or the head, it's the torso. That's what I didn't know that. I thought it was just whatever body part crosses the finish line first. So when I saw that, I said either way he won that race. So exciting race, and he was nervous and looking up. He was looking up at the results, waiting for them to come in because he talked so much trash going into this race.
Yep.
And when it finally the results came out, the official results came out. He was like, I told you, we all saw that. So, yeah, I mean, just an exciting race. And that's why we watch the track and field, the 100s, the 200s, so forth for finishes and races like this. So, this shout out to Noah Lyles there, man. Talking the talk, and I guess he's running the run. I guess we could say I can't really. It's not really walking the walk, but nonetheless, it was an exciting race, man, and well deserved for sure.
Yeah, for me, it was extremely exciting. I was watching all the way through from beginning to end. That was one I did not want to miss because they're in Paris, so they're like what 6, 7 hours ahead of us, something
Six,
crazy
six,
like
yeah,
that.
six.
So I was like, no, I got to sit down. I don't care what's going on. I have to watch this race. I don't care where I'm at. I got to watch it on the phone. I'm gonna have to ask the restaurants to change their channel, change their
Right,
station. I don't
right.
care where I'm at. I need to sit and watch this. And it did not disappoint whatsoever. But there were, just like what you said, K Walk, Jay, before I come to you, there were a lot of people saying that Thompson should have won because they felt like his foot crossed first.
Yeah,
But like you said, the winner is determined by the torso, is by the
yeah.
torso. Jay, what are your thoughts on people kind of getting upset because they felt that Thompson won by his foot and not his torso?
Yeah, I get it, and I don't know why I knew this, but I knew it was the torso. I don't know
Oh
if
wow.
just watching track for years or whatever, but Yeah, it's definitely the torso, and that's why I think Lyles did a better job at the end with the lean. Like if you go back and look at some of the
Yeah.
still photos, guys are sticking their foot out, but their chests are kind of caved in. But
Mm-hmm.
Lyles had a better technique in that last half a meter maybe
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get across the line. So I think from a technique standpoint, Lyles finished the race the right way. People crying about the foot or the hand or the arm or
Yeah.
anything like that. That's just not how track and field works. So, I mean, it's not football where you can extend your hand across
Right.
the line or something like that. So, credit to Lyles for the great technique. But I gotta say this, guys. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Noah Lyles, but you know how we all have like certain athletes or certain people that just kind of rub us the wrong
Oh
way a
wow.
little bit.
Okay.
Noah Lyles is one of those guys for me. I don't know why. I mean, great job. He won the gold
Right.
medal, but there's something about all the trash talk and all the bravado with him that for me, I just don't like it. Like, and like when Usain Bolt was doing stuff like that, it felt a little bit more authentic to me. There's something about Noah Lyles that it just feels like he's
Yeah.
just putting on for some reason, and I just doesn't feel natural. But I don't want to take anything away from him. Great job winning a great race, exciting, all that stuff. But I just had to put that in there. He rubs me the wrong way, guys.
Okay.
Before I respond, I just want to
What's going
say,
on,
what's
Tony?
going on, Tony? What's going on?
Appreciate you.
Uh, I like it. I feel like if you go back it up, why not talk your stuff? Now, don't be talking your stuff when you can't back it up. Now, you need to be quiet. But
Right.
if you backing it up and he's backing it up, he's saying I'm the best, and he's so far showing, hey, he's the best. So if nobody else can come up and compete with him, let him allow him to talk his stuff. When Prime did it, we ain't say much.
Yeah, I don't have a
MJ did it.
problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem with people who talk trash. I don't. When Prime did it, I'm all on. I didn't mind when Bolt did it. It's just something about him that it just doesn't feel. It feels like he's a try hard. Like he's trying to be that when those other guys felt a little more natural to me. But again, I'm nitpicking him. I don't want to do that. Congratulations to him, but man, it's just I don't know what it is. And when he thought he lost, because you're right, K-Walk, he didn't
Yeah.
think he won. And watching it live, I thought the
He-
Jamaican runner won as well.
I
He
did
like
too.
when he go real humble when he thought he
Yeah.
lost.
What?
And then
What?
it switched in a second, like, oh, I told you so. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
about that,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But it's funny because when I was watching, even when they slowed it down, this is why I think they made the rule of, I don't know how long this rule has been in play, but that's why you always heard them say have a good lean. They've been
Yeah.
saying that for years and years and years since as long as I've been watching track. Make sure you lean at the end of the run. But if you look at it and really pay attention, Noah Lyles' toe actually hit the line before Thompson's foot crossed the line. And then you had Curly, I think he became in third. His
Yeah, okay,
foot
Curly,
came
yeah.
in along the
Curly.
same time that Thompson's foot crossed that line. So I understand why they say you have to get that torso in. But I got another question pertaining to this. Because as we all know, Noah Lyles came out and said that why do we talk about NBA? We discussed this before. Why do they call the NBA players world champs when they win the championships when it hasn't been won overseas? So for some reason, it's come back up recently. And it was in a recent interview with Devin Booker where he stated that he feels like a title in the NBA is a lot harder than winning a gold medal. And it's kind of, they kind of brought this all together with the Noah Lyles last year saying we are the real world champs, not the other people, not the other guys. They're just national champs. What are your thoughts on what Devin Booker said that an NBA title is harder to win than a gold medal? Jam comes to you first.
That's a heck of a question. That's tough, Britt. I think I would disagree with Devin Booker, actually. I mean, I know like NBA championships are hard to come by, and I know there's a lot of great players that have not won. But when you start talking about like winning an Olympic gold medal, especially in a race like the 100 meters, like I know there's some other gold medals that maybe, people can find their way to, but to be considered the fastest man in the world when you have races coming down to what, like 5 thousandths of a second, like I don't know how it gets any more difficult than that. You know what I mean? And not just like the first three guys, but even think about the guy that came in like 9th place or whatever. Would he
Yeah.
run like maybe a half a second slower
Yeah,
than those
right,
other
right.
guys? So you're
Right.
talking about
Right.
a half a second dividing I'm great and you're terrible. Like that,
Mhm.
I don't just for me, I don't know. But just off the top of my head, without really thinking about it, it feels like winning a gold medal would be harder for me.
Hi, what's going on, Heather? Thank you for
Heather,
coming
another
in.
one of my sisters showing up.
Bam up here.
Family
Bam
showing
in
up
here.
strong tonight.
Right?
But K-Walk, what are your thoughts on Devin Booker saying that the NBA title is harder than winning a gold medal?
Well, I mean, I think I understand where he's coming from, and because you have, one chance at the gold medal, and then you practice that, and you're the favorite, you're going to win. If you're the favorite, then you go in there and you do it. But it's kind of like Jay mentioned, like you go from 1 to 9 or 1 to 8, whatever the numbers are in those particular in the finals. You look at it and you said you get one chance at this, and whereas and I think that's harder because you have to prepare because there's no room for error. There's very, very small margin of error there. You can't get a bad start. You can't stumble. Your lean has to be correct in order to win that particular race. Whereas in the NBA, you got 7 games to win a title, so you can afford to mess up three out of those 7 games. So that's why I think it's a little harder to go. Even when we talk about the Super Bowl, even the Super Bowl, sometimes the best team doesn't necessarily win. And I'm not just saying that, but as soon as I said that, I started to think about my team. But nonetheless, it's just all about it's very a small margin of error to win one particular game, whereas like NBA and baseball and hockey, you get at least 7 chances at the most, or to win. So I kind of disagree with them there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys are saying. Just like K-Walk said, you have to be so technically and fundamentally sound in that moment. There's like if you mess up in an NBA game, you can redeem yourself in the second half or the next quarter or the next
Exactly.
minute, the next play, whatever. You mess up on track, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
You get literally one split second of a chance, and it's very unforgiving. All these other sports are very forgiving. You just we say it all the time. It's one play. Don't hang your head over it. Just go on to the next play and continue on. Don't worry about it. Just move on. A lot of these no, and it's not just for the 100-meter race or 200-meter race. That's the same thing where we're talking about maybe the long jump. Yeah, they get more attempts at it, but it's still very close. You have to be very sound in your technique and very, very focused because one mistake can mess you up. But even when you look at it from a basketball perspective, and I don't know if that's where he was mainly talking about, or just the Olympics in general or the World Championships in general, whichever way. If I can recall, the U.S. lost last year in the World Championships or the FIBA, not World Championship, the FIBA
right.
basketball. So it's not as easy as you may think if
Right.
apparently the best players from the best association in basketball in the world just lost to Germany just last year. They got the bronze and not the gold. And we're expected to get the gold every single year on every different platform. It doesn't matter if it's just FIBA, the Olympics, wherever else we can get a gold medal in basketball. We just lost last year, and that's the reason why Steph Curry signed up. LeBron came in. KD said, "I'm coming back."
Right.
So there's reason why these guys said,
Great point.
We can't have that. I'm coming back. So I wouldn't just go out there and say something is easier than the other thing when we just lost. And not only that, if I can recall, we lost that, and Devin Booker, you haven't won anything yet. No disrespect, because I do like him, but you haven't won anything just yet.
And to add on to that, it's easy for him to say that because he's got teammates, he's got help. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's got guys that he can rely on, to help him out to win that world championship, if you will. These guys that we mentioned, these individual guys, they don't have that, and again, goes back to but less than 10 seconds that you just there's no room for error. This is no margin for error.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I'll say is, we know that basketball has come a long way in terms of countries around the world have definitely improved over the last 20 years. And, the competition is definitely better. But like when you're talking about track and field, like you're talking about every country in the world has fast people. Like
Yeah,
you're
right.
you're
Right.
really playing. You're going against the world, you know. And like you said, K Walk, the margin of error is just so thin. If you false start, they're putting people out of the race
Yeah,
for a false
yeah,
start. I mean, you're training 4 years
yeah,
for a 10-second moment. Like I don't know. I just don't think it gets any more difficult than that.
Yeah,
yeah,
and we just seen who we all thought once she got there will be the surefire to win the 800 meter, a thing Mo. And a
Yeah.
thing Mo didn't
hmm,
even make it because she
Yep.
fell.
Yep.
She
yeah,
didn't even make it. She was
exactly.
the surefire leader to win that 800-meter race in the Olympics to become the gold medal, but she fell in the Olympic trials, and that was it for her. Now she got to wait another 4 years in LA, just to even run one
Yeah,
race
right.
again. So it could be very frustrating and unfortunately very exciting and at the same time very frustrating and a
Yeah.
lot of long grinding hours. And Jay, I know this is your sister, but we're gonna have a conversation with her because she said Commanders will win this year.
Hey,
Um,
her and her husband diehard Commanders fans. They're
Really? Oh,
diehards. So
Look, respect to you, but
wow.
that's not happening. All right, let's. I still want to stay on this Olympic topic real fast, and I want to talk about the race that occurred today. And I know you guys seen it, and that's Gabby Thomas. I just got to get your thoughts real quick on Gabby Thomas. She just won the 200-meter, and
Gorgeous guy.
what was
Gorgeous
it,
cat.
21:86 or something like that, to win a gold medal. And she beat Alfred St. Lucia's Alfred, who ended up coming in second. What are your thoughts on it, K Rock? I'm gonna come to you first.
Yeah, gorgeous Gabby did her thing, man. I had no doubt about her and what what she's able to do. I was saying it from the jump. Soon as I saw her name, there, I just knew she was determined, and she's just the fastest out there. I mean, there's really not much you can say. It's the difference between her and Lyles. I mean, if she were to choose to talk to trash, Jay probably would have a little bit more understanding that because she's that dominant. She's that dominant, and she leaves no doubt. Each and time every time she goes out there, and just happy to watch her run. Literally watch her run. But yeah, she's outstanding. No, all jokes aside, she's outstanding, and I just think that she's prepared, and she was by far the best 200-meter runner out there without question.
Yeah, she came in ready. You could see it in her face. She
Yeah,
came in ready. She said, "I'm not losing this year." And I could see it in the trials, not in the trials, in the semifinals. She just
right.
blew everybody out the water. Had a perfect start. I know a lot of people were concerned about her turn coming around that turn, but
Yeah.
man, she stayed toe to toe with Alfred. And that was just the
Mhm.
biggest concern because once she gets on that straightaway, nobody's faster than her
Yeah.
going down that last stretch. And she showed it, and she beat them pretty handily.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
beat everybody pretty handily. I think our first time was 22:08, and she had like 21:86 or something like that. So she blew him out the water. And I think I was jumping like a little kid at a candy store. I was I was screaming, "Let's go, Gabby, let's go!" at the top of my lungs. I hope my neighbors didn't hear me.
Yeah.
But I was excited. So congratulations to Gabby Thomas. And I'm expecting at least one more goal in a women's, and that's Sydney. So come more, Sydney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh but Jay, what's your thought on Gabby Thomas?
Yeah, no, I mean, K Walks. I mean, some look. I guess some people just get it all. Sometimes
Yeah.
she's
Woo, what, Jay?
K Walk calls her gorgeous Gabby.
Gorgeous
She's a
Gabby.
200-meter champion.
Mhm.
She's a Harvard grad, so she's incredibly smart.
Mhm.
I mean, like sometimes you just get it all. And
Yeah.
and the
Right.
thing I like most about her, like, because we've talked about a lot of these other people, like Noah
Mhm.
Lyles, Shakari. Like it's almost like Gabby is a little bit under the radar. Like she's not the first person that we start talking about when we're talking about great American sprinters right
Right.
now. But
Hmm.
she was just incredibly dominant. Like the moment wasn't too much for her. She was completely confident and just went out there and took care of
Yeah.
business. So hats off to her. Great job.
Yes. And she's the complete opposite of Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
she's more to herself,
Humble.
calm, and
Humble.
just ready to humble, ready to come and race and do her thing. And that's exactly what she did. Guys, we definitely gonna talk about Jamaica and what's going on over there, but we're gonna talk about it during Jay's segment. So make sure you guys stay tuned for sure for that one. But I gotta come back and we got to talk about this NFL because NFL has the season has officially started, not the regular season, just the preseason. So let me make sure I'm clear. The regular season is a little bit less than a little bit more than a month away. So it's not that
Exactly
far.
a month.
So
Exactly a month.
oh, it's exactly a month from
Exactly a
today.
month.
Thank you for that,
Yeah.
K-Walk. So there you
Yes.
go. We about 30 days away. And I think it's the Chiefs versus was it the Chiefs versus the Ravens, I
Yeah.
believe, open up the season.
Yeah.
And
Then
then it's
that
my
Friday
team.
night game. Yeah, that Friday night game.
Yep,
Yes.
it's my team. It's the Eagles versus the Packers for that Friday night game, and then whoever else over the course of that first week. But during the Hall of Fame game, we got a first look because there was a lot of questions about how is this kickoff going to look? I'm not understanding. We got an actual first look. If you guys need to look at it, I can actually pull up a little clip of it real fast because I actually have a video. Oh boy, which one is it? I don't know. I have two files here. Let's see if this is the right one. Give me 1 second.
There you go.
Actually, I don't think that's it, but we'll play it. So, as you guys can see, I'll pause it real quick. So we could just kind of go through it. I'm sorry. Let me do this over. Okay. So it looks like, and guys help me out because I'm still new to this as well, but it looks like they start off at the 40-yard line with the receiving team 5 yards away, and then there's a landing zone, which is right there where the green square is. And then that's where, so you kick it. Now, I believe you can still fair catch it. And bam, that's basically what it is. So that came from the XFL. We don't need to see that anymore. That came over from the XFL.
Oh, you got a coach's clicker there for a second, Britt. Kept going back. You see that?
I'm trying. I'm learning some new things here. No, I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you like this new kickoff? Jay, I'm gonna come to you first.
When I first heard about it, I didn't like it because I felt like it was just too, I don't know, hokey, just too gimmicky, I guess. And I'm like, that doesn't belong in the NFL. I understand why they did it in the XFL, but it felt like it didn't belong in the NFL. But after watching it a little bit in that Hall of Fame game, I was like, you know what? This isn't that bad. I get why they're doing it. I think almost like 70% of kickoffs were not being returned. They were all going out of the end zone or people just weren't returning them. So they're trying to get that play back into football. And this is a way to do it. It looks a little weird. It looks a little gimmicky, but I actually like it. I think it's going to bring some excitement back to the game. We're going to get a little bit of action. I think we're going to get some nice returns throughout the year. And it'll be interesting to see some strategies, like how the offense tries to block it, how the defense tries to scheme it up. So I think all in all, it's going to end up being a good thing if you can get past the initial shock of that it just looks weird. I think it's going to be all right.
Yeah. K-Walk, well, we know that they originally changed some of the rules, because they felt like a lot of people were getting injured during kickoffs, right? That was one of the reasons why they started to change and adapt the kickoff rules and how it's set up. From the look of this, not only do I want to know if you like it or not, but do you honestly think this will help continue to lower, I guess, the percentage of injuries?
Yeah. To answer your first question, yeah, I do like it. I do like it. And at first, I didn't because it was something new, and a lot of people don't like change, especially when it comes to the game of football. I'm one of those guys who, stuck in your ways. I like the old school stuff, but looking at it, and like Jay mentioned, the more you look at it, the more and more you see. There's a lot of different ways to return these balls and defend it, and you get some of those right. Offensive coordinators. I like Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to have a field day with this. And I'm not just saying that because he's my head coach, but you start to look at some of the guys that he's bringing in, like a Breida. He brought him in. I'm like, okay, what is he bringing Breida in? He's not going to get too much time. But then I look at it like this fits Breida. He has that speed. He could dial some stuff up. He could be in his special teams room a little bit more because, like Jay kind of alluded to, is that you can treat this like an offense. You can scheme up some things. You can block it a certain way to get guys, you get some lanes there. And then, of course, the defensive coordinators have to do the same thing. So I like it from that aspect. As far as from the safety aspect, yeah, I think it's great because of the fact of the matter is you brought it up. as soon as you brought the screen up, is like how far they're apart now, like
Mm-hmm.
5 yards apart, as opposed to I think it was 20, 25, or 30 yards, however, and they don't have that much speed to, to that momentum to gain, and that
Mm-hmm.
impact is going to be a lot less, and we're going to see a lot less. Well, hopefully we'll see a lot less, concussions and injuries and things of that nature. So I like it from that aspect too. So I think it will cut down the amount of injuries that we've seen, and I think that the NFL has done a great job where the reason why that we didn't see a lot of kickoff returns last year is because of the injuries, and that's why we see
Mm-hmm.
them go into the end zone. But now they've come together, and I don't know who thought of it first. I know XFL implemented it first at first, but I don't know who thought of this idea, but I really like it. The more and more you think about it, and the more and more you see it, it's going to cut down injuries, and we might see a lot more high scoring games as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure at first at neither. I tried to look at it a couple times at XFL, but it's like something with the XFL. I just wasn't
Yeah,
getting into
that's
it. It was starting to irritate me after a while.
quality. Yeah, the quality wasn't there.
Right. That's probably what it was. And then I was watching the Hall of Fame game. I wasn't sure at first when it came to the injury part because it was just a bang bang play. And I was like,
Hmm.
whoa, wait a minute. How's this going to lower injuries? Because this one guy hit the other guy pretty darn hard. I think it was on one of the first or second kickoffs. But then afterwards, I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't as bad as I thought it because, like you guys alluded to, we didn't see it in the Hall of Fame game because it's still fairly new and the
Right.
players are trying to get used to it. Same thing with the coaches, but you really only got one line of defense there, right?
Hmm.
It's not like all these guys you have they're kind of staggered in the original one. Um, one side of the ball. These guys got to try to get over here within a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And by that time, you're dealing with more, like you said, K Walk, a more speedster or more one guy that has more agility
Hmm.
and is quick, could hit the hole or, juke one guy, get past one guy, and he's gone. So it does, I think, will open up a little bit, hopefully, more for some returns. But I do like it. And if you don't know, for those who are watching this, if you do not know, nobody can move until the receiving person
Gotcha.
catch the ball.
Right.
He has to catch the ball first, and then everybody else can move, which I thought was really interesting as well. So far, yes, I do like it. I'm still not sure about the injury thing yet. I guess we'll just have to wait a whole season to see. But I do understand what K Walk did say, and it caused me to think in a little bit of a different way. But Jay, any thoughts on if you think it'll help to lower injuries?
I agree with K Walk from an impact standpoint. Like the guys are only 5 yards apart, so you're not getting a running start. A lot of the injuries that would happen on a kickoff are those guys that we would call a wedge buster, like where
Yeah.
their only job was to sprint down the field as fast as you can and just blow up what
Yeah.
the return team
Right.
was trying to set up. So we saw a lot of injuries from that standpoint. They took that out of the game. And I agree, like just that 5 yard separation, you're not going to get those type of
Hmm.
collisions anymore. But to your point, Britt, you're still going to have a ball carrier running full
Yeah.
speed that
Yeah.
somebody's going to
Right.
have to get on the
Hmm.
ground. So
Right.
Yeah.
you're not in, hey, it's football. You're not going to be able to
Hmm.
avoid all injuries. But I do like, hey, if you're going to have a kickoff, at least make it as safe as possible. But Britt, to your other point though about like you said, people can't move until that runner catches the ball or it lands in that landing zone.
Hmm.
So you're right. Like if you can split one of those gaps, you could be off to the races.
Yeah.
Whereas in the traditional kickoff, if the ball's going to the right corner or left corner, guys can start moving that way, like when the
Hmm.
Right.
ball's in the air. So I do think it's going to lead to maybe some more exciting returns. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. I'm excited. Shoot, I'm just excited to have football back. I don't know why it takes so long for football to be
Real
back, but
football. Yeah. Right.
uh, yes, real football and college football comes what a
Oh
week
yeah,
prior to
definitely.
the
Yeah.
Yeah,
NFL
Yeah.
coming
season.
soon.
So
Coming soon.
that's coming real soon as well. I do want to say on this football topic, and it wasn't a part of our topic list, but I had to throw it in there. K Walk, you mentioned it during the pre-show, right before we came in with the
Wow.
jersey that was behind you, or was. We're gonna
Oh, it's
say
still there.
was.
It's
May
still there. It's
in
still
the
there, man.
future it might be a was, and it
Yeah.
may be a was coming soon. But that is wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. It looks like his trade market looks like negotiations maybe picking up a lot more than what we thought. And the main teams that we're hearing about right now are the Browns, the Steelers, and the Patriots. Are seem to all be interested. We're not sure if there are any other teams that may or may not be interested. We'll see what happens. First and foremost, I want to know, do you think he will actually get traded, or is this to see what his market value will be? Because I know that's a big thing as well. Teams will say, hey, go ahead and negotiate your own contracts or negotiate whatever. Go talk to teams, mainly so that player can see what their actual market value is, and then maybe possibly can come back. Or do you say, you know what, he's going to go to maybe one of these teams, if not another team? K Walk, this is your team. This is, I think, your guy. I don't know how
Oh,
you
yeah,
feel
definitely my
about him.
guy. His jersey's up there. His
Um,
jersey's up there. He's my guy. He's my guy.
uh,
Yeah,
I didn't want to make any assumptions,
yeah, his jersey's up there. He's
Uh,
my guy. Purdy there,
but
Purdy there too.
do you think he'll actually get traded, or is this another tactic for this team to see what your market value is? What's your thoughts?
Britt, that's a great question because I asked myself that question as well. I think right now it's a matter of the 49ers are trying to see if Brandon Ayuk is bluffing, because Brandon
Mhm.
Ayuk has come out and said that, listen, I want to be paid this amount of money. 49ers was dead set on one price. So the 49ers are not budging from that. So now he's come out and said, meaning Ayuk's come out and said, I want this trade, demanding a trade. So now the 49ers have put themselves in a great situation. Like, listen, all right, well, we got three teams out here. Right before we came on air, the Pats have come out and said that they're ready to throw the money at him, throw the bag at him, if you will. And they said they're willing to pay him top five receiver money per year money.
Mhm.
Per year money, not necessarily guaranteed or anything like that, but per year money, they said top five. So right now, Brandon Ayuk, if it's about the money, has to say, okay, well, I want it. I want this money. Yeah, I deserve this money. This is what it's about. 49ers is saying, listen, okay, at the same time, well, we got to get compensated as well. We're not
Right.
just throwing you out there. So it has to be a deal that makes sense to us as well. So that's why you see the patch there and you see the Browns there as well. Initially, it was reported that the Steelers were out of it because they didn't like the asking price that the 49ers were laid on the table, but they're back in the mix of things. So right now, to answer the question, I say all that to say this. I think that Brandon Ayuk, if he really is wants to be a 49er, he's come out and said, my family's here, I'm here, I love it here. But at the same time, he wants to get paid. So what is more important to him? Is it where you're located at, or is it where your money is at right now? So with that being said, my gut feeling tells me he's gone. Because they had an interview today with Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey actually slipped up and called him his former teammate. So, his
No.
former teammate, he
Oh
quickly cleaned
wow.
it up. He quickly cleaned it up. But the first,
Oh
the
wow.
first
Yeah.
thing it says before he called him a
Yeah.
former teammate. So I think he's out of there. I think that
Mhm.
it's just a matter of where he's going to go. And I just hope that if he's going to go, let's do this now, bro, so we can get whoever we bring in here, in the mix right now. Because right now, Ricky Pearsall went out with a shoulder injury right now. So we need whoever's going to be in here, whether it be Brandon Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Kendrick Bourne, whomever. Whoever's going to be there in here, we need them in there now so we can get that camaraderie built between him and Purdy immediately. But my gut is telling me that he's going to be gone. It's just a matter of when and where.
I have another question, but I'm gonna hold off on that. Jay, what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with everything that K Walk is saying, or do you think it's just to see what his market value is?
Yeah, look, I yield to K Walk on all 49er matters, but like my initial thought before K Walk went was I was gonna say I think he's out of there as well, because I
Mhm.
just feel like this has been going on for quite some time. I mean, we talked about this on this show on a few different occasions. So
Right.
this has spanned several months. And I just feel like if both sides really wanted to get something figured out, I think they could have figured it out by now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Ayuk's asking price is just too much, or the 49ers aren't willing to give him what he's actually worth. But whatever it is, it just seems like they can't figure it out. So I agree with K-Walk. I think if one of these other teams comes to the table with an offer that both parties feel pretty good about, I think he's out of there. I think we'll see something in pretty soon that has Ayuk out of there, and the 49ers are going to move on.
Hey, what the strangest part about this whole situation is John Lynch and Brandon Ayuk have the same agent. So I don't understand how this is not working.
Yeah,
it's just it's a mind-boggling thing to me. I don't understand how it's not working. So that part right there misses me. I don't know how you can explain that to me or what's going on there. But go ahead, Brett. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't sure neither. I thought it was just to see what his market value is. I know this is the thing that the Eagles tend to do a lot. Allow the players to go out to the market to see what they're worth and then come back. And they'll even tell the player, hey, just make sure you give us an opportunity to match that market value or whatnot, or get somewhere close to it. And for the Eagles, a lot of times it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But it just feels like this is a done deal. It feels like for some reason they just now it's still time. Both sides may change their mind. The 49ers may say, you know what, this is our window. We need you. We like your production that you have done with us so far. And Ayuk may come back and say, you know what, like you said, K-Walk, this is my home. I love it here. And this might be the only opportunity during my career where I could compete for a Super Bowl. You go to a Patriots, you may have to wait a while. You go to a Browns, you may have to wait a while. Because I don't know what Deshaun Watson is going to look like from year to year. We're just not sure. If they let go of Amari Cooper, then you're kind of in the same position that you were when you had Amari Cooper. Who else do you have over there? I don't know yet. Same thing with the Steelers situation. They're in a little bit better situation, in my opinion, primarily because of the head coach and some of the younger players. They're a lot younger, but are they going to compete for a Super Bowl? We know they're pretty much a certified playoff team, but they're not quite in a position that the 49ers are in right now. So again, it's still time to work things out and for him to stay. It just feels like he's a goner. It just feels that way. Yeah. And so at first I was just like, nah, he's going to stay. This is a whole Debo situation that happened a few years ago. The same exact thing happened. Debo requested a trade. The only difference was I think the 49ers didn't allow him to go talk to other teams, I believe. I don't think they did that. They said, no, let's figure this out. But this one they said, you know what? Go ahead and see what your market value is. Let's see if we can work something out. If not, we're going to go ahead and trade you. But also, a lot of these teams are meeting the 49ers demands, apparently. It's just coming down to Ayuk's demands and his contract demands. So that tends to be where it's not necessarily matching. But Ayuk does have a lot more control than what people think because, yes, he has no trade clause, but he could dictate kind of where he wants to go if things aren't going well with the 49ers, because he could just say, I'm not signing that deal with you. And he only got 1 year left on his contract. So he could get traded, but then not play after next year. And then that team kind of just lost out. So, yes, I'm with you guys. I think he will get traded. I don't want him to get traded. If I'm a 49ers fan, I wouldn't want him to get traded, but it does feel like he will get traded. My other question is, because now we do think he will ultimately get traded in the end. And again, this may change. It may not, guys. What team do you know what, K-Walk? I'm going to come to you first because this is your team. What team would you prefer for him to get traded to?
The Cleveland Browns. The only reason why I said the Cleveland Browns. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, okay, let me correct that question. So, yeah, you answered the one for the 49ers standpoint, and then if you're Ayuk for his standpoint. So it's kind of a two-part question for that. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it comes down to the Browns and the Patriots, I guess you want to throw the Steelers in there as well. If you're trying to get back, I don't know what I know what's in place for the Pats and the Browns from a receiver standpoint, as far as what they'll get back for Ayuk. The Steelers, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Pickens. I don't think it'll be him. No. I don't think the Steelers would want to come off of that. I think they want to pair those two together, and rightfully so.
Mhm.
But just knowing what's on the table as far as what the Steelers are going, or what the Browns are going to give back to the 49ers, I say the Browns because Amari Cooper, he's still, I mean, even though he seems like he's been in the league forever, he just turned 30 in June,
Yep.
and he's still he's still a great route runner. He can separate just like Brandon Ayuk. He can stretch the field just like Brandon Ayuk. The thing is, I know he's been hurt a lot lately, but I don't think he
Mhm.
has to he has to he has to load that management, if you will, from a standpoint where we don't have to use him as much as the Browns have used him, and put him in certain situations. Now, he comparingly, like route running and hands and things of that nature, they're comparable. Now I think what things you have to ask yourself is, this receiver, do he have the intangibles that Brandon Ayuk has? Like, I'm talking about, going downfield and blocking. That's one thing
Mhm.
that I think I'll put Brandon Ayuk in front of any receiver, top, Devontae Adams included. Is like, he's willing to block after the catch. He's willing to block for other guys, for things of that nature. So, but receiver to receiver, route running and quality, I want the Browns to be that team, because Amari Cooper is that guy that will get in return. So yeah, definitely that.
Okay. And then you said if you're IU, you would want to go to the Steelers.
If you go to Steelers, man, because that's the best
Right.
opportunity to win. I mean, you got Justin Fields over there, who, in my opinion, I don't know if we're going to touch on that. I forget. But well, I think that he'll be the quarterback
Mhm.
there. And you got Mike Tomlin, and in my opinion, I think they're America's team. They got a great organization there. A lot of people said that. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry, but a lot of people made fun of, like, him and Mike Tomlin. They look alike and all that stuff.
Right.
So there's some good stuff going on there. So I think that'd be the best fit for him, for Ayuk. But and being selfish 49er fan that I am, I would love to him to go to the Browns and get Amari Cooper in return.
That does make sense. I think Amari Cooper will fit in well. Like you said, okay, well, my only concern is injury. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
why I
feels
say
like
yeah,
Amari.
yeah.
It feels like Amari Cooper is about 50. I'm not gonna lie to you
That's
guys.
what
It
I
feels like
said.
he's
That's what I
so
Yeah,
said, Brett.
old.
That's what I
It
thought.
makes no
Yeah,
sense. I don't
yeah,
know what age he came into the league. He just feels
yeah,
like he's about 50 years old already.
yeah,
But that would be my biggest concern is injury with Amari Cooper.
yeah.
But Jay, I'm not going to ask you what team do you think the 49ers should make the trade with. I want because I asked K Walk that because he's a 49ers fan. But from your standpoint, if you're Brandon Ayuk, what team would you want to go to out of those three teams that we mentioned?
yeah. I agree with K Walk. Out of those three, I'd like to go to Pittsburgh as well. I think you
Mhm.
got the most stable organization, like you said, Britt. They're pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot. Um, Two quarterbacks, whichever one ends up being the starter, you're going to have a competent quarterback play, no matter which one of those guys it is. And if you're paired with Pickens, that's a really nice 1-2 or
Yeah.
2-1, however you want to look at it. So
Mhm.
it feels like everything in Pittsburgh sets up nicely for Ayuk. The only thing is, Pittsburgh isn't necessarily known as an organization that likes to just be
Right.
loose with their money. So is he going to be able to get everything he wants in Pittsburgh? That might be the only roadblock there, because they're not really known for really rolling out the Brinks truck for guys. So
Yeah.
that could be an issue. But in terms of football, I think that's probably the best situation.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm with Pittsburgh all the way. Whether you got Russ or Justin Fields there, I think there will be a great pairing. Like you guys said, George Pickens, and you still have Najee Harris in the backfield. I think they have another running back over there. Can't think of his name right there. And
Yeah.
then we all know what they're going to do on the defensive side of the
Yeah.
football. They do get injured sometimes, but they made some additional improvements on that defensive side of the ball. They went out and got the linebacker. Can't think. Patrick Queen is now
Queen.
with
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. They still got T.J. Watt. As long as he stays healthy, that defense
Michael
is
Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Michael Fitzpatrick. Yep, is in the backfield, the safety. So they have some very good pieces. To me, they really just need to stay healthy, and they need an additional receiver on that offensive side. So he might just be that missing link. And of course, the quarterback. We got to figure out the quarterback situation, which is the most important out of all. But then you have a reliable head coach, a very, very good head coach, and Mike Tomlin. I don't care what anybody says. I think he's still one of the best head coaches in the NFL football
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
National Football League.
Absolutely.
Um, So I think Pittsburgh should be the direction that Brandon Ayuk should want to choose if these are his only three options. And it's the, like you said, K Walk, the next best opportunity to potentially go to the playoffs and maybe eventually contend. I don't see them contending this year, but maybe hopefully within the next few years, it's a possibility. And he's still fairly young.
Yeah.
Let me just head into the comments with some of the comments that we got. Mikey Brass. Apologies, Mikey Brass. He's going to the Commanders or the Lions.
He did.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I know he would say he wanted to go to the Commanders because Jaden Daniels, that's his
Yeah.
guy. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think they have the money. I do believe they have the draft capital. I don't know if there's anything in return that the 49ers would potentially want from the Commanders as far as a player that's ready to come in and contribute right away. It could be a possibility, or maybe they just want the draft capital.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that'll get it done. Any thoughts on these two teams?
Yeah, what the thing about it is, like you mentioned, Brett, the 49ers, what they're looking in return is they're looking for a veteran receiver to replace him, to be not replace him, but put him in the mix that while these young receivers that they just drafted this past offseason, are ready to go. So I don't see who the Commanders or the Lions would have that they're willing to come off of it, unless they're coming off of two second round picks, excuse me. So just looking at these teams, I don't see what they would offer. With the Commanders, if the 49ers are willing to take another a high draft pick, they could be in the mix. But they are looking for a veteran receiver
Right.
in return.
One
Yeah.
of the things about, oh, sorry, go ahead, Britt.
Now I was going to say, and we know they're not letting go Terry McLaurin. So,
Yeah, he's young. No, absolutely not.
right.
Yeah.
So, but Jay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, like the Commanders, number one, I think we all agree they might be a little bit better than everybody kind of thinks they are. But they do have Jahan Dotson now. K Walk, like he's not an established vet, but he's a Penn State guy. I've watched a ton of him. He's a really, really talented receiver. So if the 49ers were willing to take a younger guy who's only been in the league 2 or 3 years, he is injured a little bit early. But I'm telling you, Jahan Dotson is a really good receiver. He's not a Brandon Ayuk right now. Could he turn into that 2-3 years down the road? Maybe. So if they were going to do a deal with the Commanders, maybe Jahan Dotson could be on the table. I don't know. But I don't know. I was just kind of reading something that said the Commanders are probably out of it at this point. But, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I just don't think the Lions is going to want to do a deal with the 49ers right now. They're kind of like toe and toe. I don't know if they want to, and unless you're going to give up on who Jameson Williams, what's his name, Jameson Williams, or
no, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Yeah, and then who's the other guy, the main guy?
St. Brown.
And that's not, and we know for sure that's not going to happen. So
they just
I don't
paid
think
him. They just paid him, so that's not going
exactly. So the Lions are not going to be a part of this deal whatsoever.
I'm curious to know why you thought the Lions though. Man down sports. What's good?
Man down. What's up?
Mikey, let us know why you thought the Lions. If I don't know how much it is to type, but we appreciate it. Just let us know, and I'll read the comment. What's going on, Mel from Man Down Sports? He did have a question. He said, "Brittany, I think the 49ers like T.O.'s son, which I think
he's
Tariq
balling.
Williams.
Yeah, he's good call there, man. We do have a lot of receivers that are coming up. I mean, they're right now in the mix, so that's a great point there. He's tearing up. He's tearing up the. From what I'm seeing, his route running. He runs exactly like
exactly,
T.O. Right, exactly like T.O.
Moves exactly like
everything,
T.O., man.
everything. So, so he's doing a great job there, along with some of these other receivers that they brought in the mix as well. So great there, a great point there, Mel, without question. But like I said, they want a veteran receiver there to fill that spot in for Brandon Ayuk while these young receivers are developing.
And my last question pertaining is before we move on, I kind of feel like I don't know, a lot of fans, and we tend to do this as fans, right? When a player wants to get traded, like we kind of feel some type of way at times. And you're like, just get in my house, we don't need you anything. Anyway, are we downplaying the fan base? Are we downplaying the impact that Brandon Ayuk has on this team?
No.
Are we kind of underrating his impact on the team. Jay, K Walk, anybody can take this.
I mean, I'm not downplaying. I'm just looking at it from a business standpoint, and I understand why we're talking about this. By no stretch of the imagination, are we talking about Brandon Ayuk is not valuable to this team? We've seen what he did in throughout the season. We've seen what he did in the playoff run against the Lions and the way they came back and those big catches that he made in the crucial point of the game. So no, we're not. We're not downplaying this by any stretch. Well, I'm not downplaying it by any stretch of the imagination. I want. Don't get it. No mistake. Please make no mistake. I want Brandon Ayuk. I want big 1-1. I want that big 1-1 on for a long, long time, man. I love that dude, man. But I understand how the business works. If you can't meet in the middle, then you have to make the moves that you have to make the moves for the best for your family and Brandon Ayuk's situation and the best for the organization and 49ers situation. So we understand sometimes it doesn't always work. But yeah, I love the dude. I want him back. So Brandon Ayuk, brother, please make it work. Make it work, please.
So Jay, before you answer the question, the reason why I asked this question is because when Debo went through the same thing, you've seen a lot of the fans, not UK Walk, I'm just talking in general. We've seen a lot of fan base saying, "Hey, we don't need you. We're better off without you." And they're kind of doing the similar thing with Ayuk. It feels like they're doing the same thing with Ayuk. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what fans do, as you kind of started this off saying, Britt. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all that fans are saying that, because if fans sense or at least in their mind perceive that a player is being disloyal, that's where they're going. We don't need you. Right. We don't want you. Right. But I think people that understand football probably have a different perspective on it. Like, great players, they just don't fall out of trees. So when you got one, you got to try to hold on to it as best you can. The only thing I'll say, because I agree with everything K-Walk said about keeping Ayuk, they understand how important he is. The only thing I'll say, and I've said this before, is I do believe that Kyle Shanahan is the type of coach and coordinator that believes that his system is the reason for a lot of the success. And that if they lose Ayuk, I know deep in his heart, he feels like I can plug somebody else in there and I'll scheme it up and we'll be okay. I do think he believes that. That being said, I think he still would like to have Ayuk rather than not have him. But it's coach's ego that they just think, well, if he leaves, we'll still be okay. And I think Kyle Shanahan probably believes that.
Well, I got a hot take, guys, for you guys. So Tony said, my hot take, Ayuk is better than Debo. Do you guys agree or disagree?
As a receiver, absolutely. As a football player, absolutely not. So there's a difference there. So if you're talking about Brandon Ayuk being a better receiver, 100% agree. Being a better football player, 100% disagree.
And I would just add on to that I think Debo is more valuable to the 49ers.
And with that being said, yes.
What he brings to the 49ers, I think, is more important than what Ayuk does. We've seen it in real time. When Debo doesn't play, the 49ers have a hard time winning football games. So I think the value of Debo is more important than Ayuk.
What Jay said.
And last question, and then we're going to move on because I got to get to the next topic. Well, I guess Tony may ask this last question for me. You said, do you all need a football player or a receiver to win a chip, K-Walk?
To be honest with you, brother, we need both. But if you're putting me in a situation where I have to pick either or, in this system, football player. Definitely a football player, because like Jay alluded to, and we've seen it. Look at those last 3 games, or those 3 games that the 49ers lost in a row, with the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals. Debo wasn't there. Brandon Ayuk was there. And I mean, they still had a chance to win those games, maybe with the exception of the Bengals, but they still had a chance to win those games late. But it would have made it a lot easier had Debo been there. So for our system, a football player is more valuable to win a chip than a receiver is.
And last comment, he said, y'all lost 2 Super Bowls with the football player.
Yeah, we did. And we also, yeah, you're absolutely right. And we had
Ayuk
two
was
different
there too,
receivers.
though.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
like,
Ayuk was there
I
too.
mean,
Ayuk was there too. So like,
yeah.
I don't understand what that. Yeah, yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. We had different quarterbacks, but yeah, we were still there too.
Yeah, it definitely was different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, we're gonna have to move on now. But no, I really had to get this 49ers taken. I know it wasn't a part of our topic list, but
Appreciate it, guys.
it's
Appreciate it.
something that is really building up. Yes, we appreciate the questions, the comments. Hopefully, we soon get some phone calls on this thing. But we're going to gradually start getting to that, sooner rather than later. But yeah, this 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, hopefully we'll hear something soon. And as soon as we hear it, hopefully we're able to jump on or be able to talk about it during the next show, because I know it's exciting and it has everybody trying to, sitting in their seats holding on, especially, unfortunately, 49ers fans, because that is y'all team.
Yeah, I love it because that means that we were the favorites. We were the favorites. Well, I don't know after Ayuk
Right.
there, and I guaranteed it. I said barring a major injury, we're the Super Bowl champs. So I love it. I love it. Bring it on. Bring it on, ladies.
Right. That's his opinion. My opinion is different. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's fine. You're supposed
All right,
to
guys.
disagree with that.
All right. All right, let's move on. I want to get into the NBA, and I actually have a video for this one. And it's George Niang. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, George Niang was recently asked a question. It was actually a few days ago, maybe late last week sometime. He asked this question about who rubs him the wrong way in the NBA, and I thought he had a interesting answer. Give it 1 second. It should be pop up now.
If this motherfucker gets going, I'm gonna be in the middle of it. Is there somebody that just rubbed you the?
Really, it was and I don't want to like beat a dead horse with it because I actually feel bad at this point. The Ben Simmons thing, like that pissed me off because guys are trying to make a living, right? And I came from Utah, like I signed like just a little over the minimum, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'm a spot up shooter. This guy fucking drives the lane. Everybody collapses. He kicks out. Like, this is gonna be great for my career.
Yeah.
I signed a 2-year deal, and then he was like, I'm not playing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we have no, like, this was before Tyrese Maxey. It was like, were we going to start Shake Milton or Tyrese Maxey? So it was like, Tyrese Maxey just came off a rookie year where he like got spot minutes.
Right.
And Shake Milton was like,
Spot
still,
minutes.
yeah, he was
He's a
still,
defender. He's a defender.
yeah, he was still fighting for, so I'm like, how the fuck am I going to make something happen? And then he was walking around the facility, like, you'd be like, what's up, man? Because they're like, welcome him back in, and he'd be like, and that's when I was like, fuck this dude. Like,
Yeah.
if I get an opportunity to play against this dude, I'm going to be an asshole. Like, there's etiquette and the game. There's like, don't do dumb shit when you're out there. I was like, out
Fuck
the
him.
window. And
Yeah.
that was the only one. Other than that, like, I think, yes, it is a business and I want to compete in between the lines, but I'm not going to, some players will cross the line of doing like dirty shit. I'm not going to cross that. I'll compete. But at that point, I was like, fuck. Like, I was.
Yeah.
That's basically what he said. So he basically said Ben Simmons was the one that rubbed him the wrong way with how he carried himself in the locker room. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Jay, I'm gonna come to you first.
I get it. I mean, he rubs me the wrong way. I mean, he just strikes me as a guy that doesn't want to play basketball. He likes the things basketball brings, but he doesn't actually like putting in the work and putting in the time to actually be a basketball player. He's one of those guys that at this point, I think you'd have to put in the stealing money category. He's making a ton of money not to do anything except sit on the bench and look nice in designer clothes. So I get it. If I was his teammate, I would probably feel the same way. I mean, this guy has been a total disaster for somebody that was supposed to be like people. There was a time when people were saying like, this guy, his game reminds us of LeBron James. And when you think about that to where he is now, I mean, complete total disaster.
Yeah. Look, you guys know how I feel about it. We probably don't went through this thing 1,001 times with Ben Simmons. And if you guys look up the previous videos on our YouTube channel, you will see me freaking out over some Ben Simmons because he has talent. He has so much talent and it makes no sense. And all he had to do was put the work in and work hard. That's all he had to do. Look, I understand sometimes your mental can take over at times, but you have to work on it. You have to believe in yourself and work on that and take the time to pay attention to your mental health as much as your physical and overall health. and I'm getting ready to pause on what I gotta say because I see in the comments, Mel said that back injury for Ben was real though. No, it wasn't. It was his brain that was real. His issues was more emotional than it was physical. And I'm not trying to knock someone who has a physical injury, but let's be real. There were times where he was fine and just didn't want to play. In a playoff game, he tried to lie and say he had COVID. He didn't have COVID. You just didn't want to play. It had nothing to do with a back injury or anything like that. You just felt some type of way for whatever reason because you had a spoiled mindset and you didn't want to play, but not understanding how this is going to impact your teammates. They always say the NBA is more of a brotherhood, it's a fraternity. But your attitude, you don't have your brother's back. It's fine that you're injured or whatnot, fine, but you don't have to treat these guys the way you did. It's not just George Niang that came out and said he was, you say, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? And you just walk the other way. That's rude. Y'all supposed to be brothers. Like, come on now. That like they came to come play with you. They wanted that experience of wow, Ben Simmons can handle the rock. His basketball IQ is very high. He's going to get you the ball. And all I got to do is sit back and shoot. They were looking to you to make their lives a little bit easier and come to support you as well. But at the end of the day, you just turned their backs on them. So, but that's because of his own selfishness and his immaturity. Now, I'm hoping at this particular age and the fact that his next contract is not going to be anywhere near what his previous contract was. I hope that he learned his lesson. But for right now, all we get is these amazing highlights of summer league play or, basketball practice. And I'm going to shoot all day long in practice, but I'll never shoot in a game. Sorry, I'm reverting back, guys. His name just brings some crazy memories for me. So I think for him, it's more of he has to grow up. And the question is, did you grow up? That's going to be a big question we're going to have to answer. Nobody wants him right now. I think the Nets were trying to trade him. Nobody wants him or that contract. They look at him right now as a cancer to your locker room. Injuries, I don't think injuries create an issue for anybody. I think most teams and most teammates understand injuries. It's your attitude that creates the issue. And he has some major attitude issues. And he needs to adjust that quick. But who do I have go first? K-Walk, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we're still talking about this guy first and foremost, but nonetheless, when you talk about this guy and just like everything you mentioned, Britt, and everything that was just said about him, like, you can't walk by him and him not saying what's up to you. Like, he's, the top echelon of the league. Like he's an MVP candidate or somebody like that. But you haven't played in like a year and a half, 2 years, for the most part. And Britt, you mentioned something, you said something that kind of like, really, are we going to see this next contract? I don't see a next contract coming for Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. I don't know who in their right mind would give him another contract, to be honest with you. If I were the Nets, I would just be like, listen, let's just do away with this guy. We'll just eat the money, because that's basically what they're doing anyway. That's what they're doing anyway. They're just bringing him in there, and he's sitting on the bench and doing whatever, whatever he wants to do and not playing. Now it went from a back injury to COVID to mental, and he, I don't want to say this, ladies and gentlemen, without sounding wrong. I hope he didn't, just put it this way. I hope he didn't use the mental reason, work on his mental issues, to get a pass on people talking down on him, because we know how sensitive that topic can be. So I hope he wasn't playing us in that sense where, okay, I'll use the mental aspect of it. I'm working on my mental, my mental status, so people leave me alone, because that's a sensitive topic in today's world right now. Hope he didn't do that, but I wouldn't put it past him either. So with that being said, yeah, I just don't think, I mean, if the Nets want to continue to pay this guy and to do nothing, even when he's on his game, I mean, he's not really giving you that much, especially from an offensive standpoint. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he'll give you he may be close to a triple double if you're lucky, but he can't shoot a jumper, can't make a free throw. I mean, he's when he wants to play, he's an okay defender. He's an okay rebounder, and he can facilitate, if he really wants to. But overall, he's not giving you too much. So I don't understand why we're, they're even, thinking about keeping this guy. And I don't understand why we're talking about this guy either, but that's just me.
Yeah. I had to bring it up because it was really, out of all the players that could have rubbed anybody wrong, All the
see.
players that can rub you the
Yeah.
wrong way. And you have players in the NBA that purposely get under your skin. Patrick Beverly is a prime example. He will get under your skin on the
Oh, I see
court
what you're saying. I see how you compare.
purposely.
Okay, I got you.
And there's other players that will purposely get under your skin on the basketball court. Even maybe even talk about you in the podcast. But he talked about the one guy who's trying to hide right now.
Yeah, okay, that's irritating. Yeah.
And George Niang, he's a competitor. He I'm not saying he's the best player on the planet, but he's just a competitor. When you see him, he's talking trash in your face. He'll get up in your face. And I think he has an awkward shape to him. I always said that, but that's my
That did look
guy.
like. At first, I thought he was a G. He looked
He's
like
got
an
a bad
executive.
body for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
like an
got.
But
executive.
I love George Niang. That's why they always say bang bang Niang or whatever. That might have been a pause moment. My apologies, thing, but you know what I mean. That was his thing when he knocked down his three. So I love him. I love when he comes to play. He plays his hardest. And for him to point out Ben Simmons, I really thought that was something major because it's telling me it's more than just an injury. Yeah, he may have had an actual back injury, and that's understandable. And a lot of these guys have been injured, and they will understand that. But it says another thing where they're coming to you, and they haven't probably talked to you in forever. Your name is not mentioned anywhere on any platform,
Right.
ESPN, it doesn't matter. And he sits in the interview. He said the one guy that rubbed me the wrong way, and he picks your name. That means it's more than just an injury. It's because you have a bad attitude, and you didn't come with a brotherhood type of mentality where all these guys are competitors. But when you're off the court, they're talking to each other. They probably hang out with each other outside in the off season, and you're basically over here all alone. Remember, his mentor was supposed to be LeBron James. We don't hear or see any of that relationship at all. We see it with LeBron and Maxey. We see it with LeBron and all these other young players. But it's just like that relationship kind of felt like it kind of dwindled off a little bit. And maybe they still talk in the background. I'm just, I don't know for sure. But that I just thought that was very, very interesting. But for me, it takes nothing to work on your game. That's what you're getting paid for. It takes nothing to work on your game. The whole goal is to win a championship. At least that's what we hope your mindset is when you come into the NBA. And maybe that's not where his mindset is. But George Niang, he's probably just one of the first players to actually say it. But there's a reason why Jimmy Butler decided to go to Miami instead of stay with the Sixers. And it just wasn't because of the head coach. I think he also said, I don't like Ben Simmons and I don't like his work ethic. The kid doesn't work at all. To be so talented and to be looked upon as he's the next LeBron or whatever it may be, he doesn't like to work on his game. To me, that's a major problem for me as well. Yeah. Any final thoughts on the Ben Simmons era? Or we're going to try to put this to rest?
No, I think, Britt, the only thing is because we've always heard about Ben Simmons that he has a lot of yes men around him. Like he doesn't have anybody around him that's willing to tell him the truth. So I think that right there is a sign of lack of maturity. And then also players know, like when players start talking about you like that, it's got to be really bad because for the most part, I think they players will try their best not to air that kind of stuff out publicly. So if somebody's going to air you out that way, I think it's got to be really, really bad.
Yeah, and if you look at the beginning of the interview, he was like, I don't really want to get into
it. Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
But Richard Jefferson has a way of pushing you a little bit. And he said, if I had to choose one person, it would be Ben Simmons. And I don't want to hear, and I'm going to bring this up. I'm tired of hearing about teammates throwing this kid under the bus. Ain't nobody throwing him under the bus. When leaders in the NFL talk about a player's not stepping up, we just say he's being a leader. When they did it in that particular press conference, watch that press conference from beginning to end. That particular person, Joel Embiid, said, I need to take accountability. And he said, I do think this was a big moment in the game, which was Ben Simmons deciding to pass the ball to a lesser player versus just going up and slamming it on Trae Young's head. But that just shows you right there the type of player that he was. He was not ready for those moments. Dak Prescott part 2. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw him in here. He was an innocent bystander. Yeah, I always got to attack the Cowboys. I always got to attack the Cowboys. But no. Any final thoughts on any of the topics that we talked about?
I think Ben got enough airtime for my.
Yeah, seriously, for real.
All right. No, we're definitely going to be talking about him more because he is with the Nets, which is my rival or one of my rivals, I guess you could say. Not a real rival, but We'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting to see if they buy him out, or like you said, K-Walk, they just have him pay him for the rest of the year, and then he'll be a free agent starting next year. But no, that contract, I think that's it. But all right, guys, I had to rank them, but I hold off for the next one because we got to get to Jay's segment. But excuse me, guys, I just had to belch for a moment. We all had those
That's what
moments.
happens when you talk about Ben Simmons.
Right. He gets to my soul. He messes up my digestive system. My goodness.
Hard to digest. I know.
No,
It's hard to digest.
no. Overall, though, I do wish him the best, and I hope he gets over this. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be on him to do it, though. But all right, guys, we're going to head into break. Please stay tuned because we're coming back and we're going to talk more sports, of course. With Jay's going to take over. So you guys are watching the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Hello, this is Marvin Lewis, and you're watching the Sideline Speaks with Brittany Jones, Jason Collins, and Kevin Walker. They're taking a break, and they will be right back.
All right, welcome back to the Sideline Speaks. Brittany Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. All right, guys, we talked about the men's 100-meter final, but we did not get into the women's final. So we got to talk about that because, as we said, Sha'Carri came into this thing as the favorite to win gold, especially with no Sharika Jackson. Shelly Ann Frazier ends up pulling out. No Elaine Thompson-Herah. The three Jamaicans that swept it not too long ago, none of them were in the race. So this felt like it was Sha'Carri's to take home. That didn't happen. She gets silver. K-Walk, what went wrong?
You're
on mute, K-Walk.
My bad, guys. Yeah. I try to, when I dissect this, Jay, I try to put it on a start because I said that it was going to be ultimately the reason why, she would lose the gold, or she wouldn't win the gold, I should say. Actually, no, she would lose the gold. Yeah, I'm going to say she didn't. It wasn't won by the race. I think it was lost by Sha'Carri Richardson, and I just think she just didn't have it that particular day. We talked about it earlier, with Noah Lyles, and there's very a small error from small margin of error. And I just think that, she had a little bit of error. She just didn't have that kick that she needed to overcome it. So I just think that she just missed out on that, man. And I felt bad for her, man, because she got back in the right place. She was doing everything that you're supposed to do to get back, and to quiet a lot of naysayers, because there were a lot of naysayers coming into this Olympics, and she was just on fire, and she's just coming in at the right time, very hot, and to have her just win silver, man, it just feels like it just feels like it wasn't a medal at all. I think it was gold or nothing for her. But yeah, she just didn't have that second gear, man, or that third gear, or whatever you want to call it. She didn't have that ultimate gear to get it done, and it was heartbreaking for me. I'm pretty sure you guys felt the same way, but it was heartbreaking to see her not fulfill that, to fulfill that accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure. Britt, what'd you see? What went wrong for Sha'Carri?
I don't know about you guys. I don't know. We'll probably talk about it a little in a second when we get to the Jamaican women and probably the reason why they dropped out. I don't know if she was a little tight. I know she had some issues with her warm-ups. So I'm not going to dive too much into that. And she couldn't get through the gators. It was some issue. So she wasn't able to warm up properly. But when I looked at her face, she looked a little different than she did last year at the World Championships. It looked like I don't know if she was nervous. She wasn't as loose feeling as she was last year. And I was like, this might not be looking good. But even with a bad start, I still think she's faster than these girls. Like, she showed us last year where she ran a 10.6 and she had a bad start then. I think Alfred ran a 10.71, I believe. And we sat here and we said, if she fixed that start and she comes in with the confidence that she's always been coming in with, she could probably get it down to 10.5 easily, right? But everything just looked tight to me. To me, she just looked tight. I don't know about you guys. She just looked tight. She definitely did not run her best race. I think she'll be back, because she did this before. She did it with the world championships. She understands the platform this is, or the pressure that amounts to the situation. It's her first time being here at the Olympics. A lot of other ladies been to the previous Olympics prior to her. I think when she goes to LA 2028, I think she'll end up probably winning it. She'll be in prime form. She'll be ready for the moment. So, but I think for this one, her start was off and she just didn't get off the blocks like she wanted to. And Alfred, for her I think that was a personal best at 10.71, I believe. I believe that was her personal best. So I'm not too worried about Sha'Carri Richardson, because I know she'll take this on a cap. She'll come back harder than ever. And I would not be surprised if she ended up winning gold in LA.
Yeah, you're right, Brett. Number one, we got to give credit to Julian Alfred, who ran a fantastic race. Like, she got out of the box and she did not look. I mean, she ran a great race.
Right.
But to your point, Britt, I even saw it in the semifinal. Like, you know how the camera zooms in on them like before? When they zoomed in on Sha'Carri's face, I just said something about her doesn't look right. Like, I didn't know if she looked nervous. She just didn't look relaxed to me. And then when she didn't win the heat in the semifinal, I was like, But then that stuff started coming out about, maybe she didn't have a chance to get a full warm up. And I was like, okay, well, if she has a chance to come back in about an hour and a half, run the final, she'll be ready to go. But then I saw that same look again. They zoomed in. She just didn't look right. I don't know if it was nerves, if the moment got to her, if she just wasn't confident because she kind of got out of her routine, but there was something definitely off with her. And I think that translated into the race, kind of like we talked about earlier. The margin of error is just so small.
Very small.
If anything is off, if anything goes wrong, you're really, kind of putting yourself in a situation where now things get really tough for you. So, and I thought that was really interesting. Go ahead, Britt.
I mean, the one thing about the Olympics, and you got world championships next year again. So you're going to be running against some of the same people. Julia Alfred's going to be there. I don't know if Shericka Jackson's going to run a 100 meter. I don't know if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. I know this may be her last. Well, she didn't really perform this year, but probably her last Olympics, but she may be back for the world championships as well. So she's going to see the same competitor. So she could prove herself again next year and show the world why. To me, in my opinion, I still think she's the fastest 100 meter runner. She just didn't have a great moment during her career at this particular moment. But I will say this also, I can appreciate how she was happy to get the silver, but she wasn't overly happy. Like, you could tell in her face she wanted to win that gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to that daggone 3x3 women's basketball who celebrated the bronze like it was the Super Bowl and then going to dedicate it to Kobe Bryant. I'm sorry. I don't know who do a rant, but I'm gonna get mine out right now. How you gonna dedicate something to Kobe? And he looking at you probably like, I'm not celebrating third place.
No bronze.
Right.
Sorry, I had to get that out.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right, Britt. And you're right, Britt. Shelly-Ann Fraser made a point to say, this is my last Olympics. So making me think that she will probably run in the world championships. But K-Walk, speaking of the Jamaicans, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce pulls out. Shericka Jackson pulls out of the 200 meter, which she was a favorite. Probably her and Gabby, that would have been a great match.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think's going on there? Why are all these Jamaican sprinters pulling out of races?
That's a great question, Jay. I tried to look it up, and I didn't come back with any concrete evidence or concrete reasons why they did it. I mean, if all of them are pulling out, I mean, there's something there, but it's just not something that we're hearing about. I think Britt kind of alluded to in our thread that there was something going on there, that they were being mistreated. There was possibilities of there was an illness going around, but I just don't understand like that was something that if only affects the Jamaicans. So I didn't buy too much into that. So yeah, I think it's going, like Britt mentioned in our thread, it's going to come out eventually. I just don't know what it is. And then I tried everything. I put in everything. Everything. I went on Twitter, I went on Google, YouTube, everything, and I just couldn't come up with a legitimate reason, Jay. I mean, but all three of these ladies, pulled out for a reason. I just don't know what it was. I was trying to be facetious by saying, they were all scared of, Gabby and Sha'Carri. And that's the reason why they're pulling out. They don't want to lose to them. But to be honest with you, I think it's something more serious than that. And then, and again, I don't have an answer. And I think eventually it will come out in the next. I think it will come out maybe right after the closing ceremonies. But hopefully it comes out soon and we really get the answer to why they all pulled out.
Yeah, it just seems weird because, like we talked about earlier, you're training, you're dedicating 4 years of your life to try to get to this moment.
And
so
the day of,
it's got to be something pretty serious, right? To make you think, okay, I'm not going to run. So that's it's hard to kind of make sense of. But Britt, do you have any thoughts on this? Why do you think these Jamaican sprinters aren't running?
Yeah, I was trying to do my research as well. A lot of people were saying that these ladies were hurt. I'm like, nah, they're not hurt.
Nah.
They're healthy. And then the video that I sent to you guys with Shelly and Fraser Price, she was talking to the one driver how they wouldn't allow her to get on the bus because I guess there was a rule change. If you're not staying in the Olympic Village, all the athletes will stay. They all come in on a team bus that gets them through the gates. Her, Shelly, and Fraser Price, along with Sha'Carri Richardson, my apologies. They stayed, I guess, elsewhere, so they had to come in with their own, I guess, transport, and they weren't allowed in because of that. And it was a rule change that happened maybe a day prior, or something like that. So they weren't able to get in and get their full warm-ups in. I don't know if that impacted Sha'Carri Richardson, and maybe that could be the reason why Shelly and Fraser Price decided to pull out, because granted, that warm-up a lot of times is just as important as training for those 4 years. You want to make sure your body is loose. And I know people were looking at, well, Sha'Carri, ran, but maybe that was the problem. We did say it looked like she looked tight. She didn't look like her normal self. As far as Shericka Jackson, I know prior to coming to Olympus, she had a slight injury, so I don't know if that injury was irritating her just a little bit. But she said she was focused. She was fine. In the interview, she said she was focused on the 200 meters. So I don't know if she said, what, I feel like you're not treating this right. So all, the two main Jamaican women decided to drop out. And I felt some type of way because, yes, we root for our U.S. women when it comes to track. But I love me some Shericka Jackson. I love me some Shelly and Fraser Price. And I look forward to watching them just as much as I look forward to watching Sha'Carri Richardson and Gabby Thomas and Sydney McLaughlin, Lorene, whatever her last name is. So to me, they're we look forward to that matchup every single Olympic and every single World Championship. So I hope it comes out soon as the reason why. And the Olympics, France is going to have to get looked at some type of way because they're not the only ones who said they felt this way. We heard Coco come out and say, they got like 20 females to 2 bathrooms. They're sleeping on prison type mattresses. I mean, these are our athletes, guys. Like, you guys got to treat them a lot better than this. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be, it'll be interesting if they run in the relays. They always kind of wrap everything up with the relays. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see, like, if they run in the relays, it's like, okay, well, they were healthy enough to run in the relays, so it's not injury. What was it that kept them out? So that'll definitely be interesting when we look at it.
Yeah.
So Mikey said if you don't get the proper time to warm up, it definitely affects you in a race or in track. So
no doubt.
Yeah, and not just physically, mentally too, man. And you sometimes you want to get into that particular routine. Each athlete, regardless of what sport it is, has a pre-game or pre-event a routine that they go through. Laying down, visualizing the win. And that takes a lot. I mean, that's a big part for me. I know back in the day when I was playing and I was successful, I visualized everything that that I thought that was going to take place. But if you're distracted and you got to worry about getting through a gate and things of that nature, that everything that Britt just mentioned, I mean, that's going to just take away from your routine. And if you don't go through that, not just from a physical standpoint, stretching and getting the work in and the things of that nature, that'll throw you off too. So good point there,
Right.
without question.
And also where you stay, like, getting a good night's rest.
That too.
These athletes came out and said they don't have AC in the room. How you not provide these athletes with AC? It's hot. So they sleeping in a hot room. You're not getting rest. And then, like I said, the mattress, the beds that they're sleeping on are very uncomfortable. So that means that's part of them taking care of their bodies and getting prepped for their next race. So all these things contribute to, their competition
Yeah,
or
there's
the
yeah,
race.
there's no doubt at all. When you're a high level athlete competing and your routine gets thrown off, no matter what
Yes.
that
Right.
routine is,
Yes.
it does something to you. It
It does
messes with
actually.
you. There's definitely no question about that. All right, let's do a real quick check in on the men and women's basketball team just to see how we're still feeling about these teams. The men played today. I watched a little bit of it this afternoon. They were up by quite a bit. I
Yeah.
didn't finish watching it.
Mhm.
But K Wall, what's your confidence level in the U.S. men? As I think, what's next? The semifinals, I think, is next up
Semifinal.
for
Yeah, that was
them.
just quarterfinals
What's your
today. Yeah.
confidence level with the U.S. men?
With the men is growing more and more every contest, man. I mean, especially today. I know it was what was it? They played with Brazil, I think it was today,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they just
Mhm.
blew them out, and they had to do that. I mean, going in, we saw that South Sudan or whatever it was. LeBron had to hit a game-winning shot to beat them, and then they were struggling with other teams, but the more and more that they're playing and more that they're playing together and they're all accepting their roles, whether they're coming off the bench or they're playing a certain amount of minutes, they're all accepting that. And I think that's what's making me more confident, making them more confident first and foremost, but making me more confident because we see that that it's they're just not winning by like 10 or 20. They're blowing these guys out. They're leaving
yeah,
no doubt, and no one has a problem with the starting at this point. In the beginning, it might be a different story, but right now, everyone's buying in. So I have my confidence level with the men is is gaining momentum, if you will. And with the women, it hasn't deterred, man. I felt that they coming in and they're the favorites. I think they're gonna bring home the gold. There's sometimes they don't look as they look as golden as well, but I think their B game is still better than anyone else's A game. So I haven't lost any confidence in them whatsoever. So it's still the same for me with the men. I mean with the women, but a little higher as we go on with the men.
yeah. The men have looked pretty good over these last few games in terms of like where they were coming from when it started
Yeah,
and kind of how they're playing
Mhm.
now. The more time on the floor they get together, I think they're improving every game. And you're right, K Walk. The women, I think we all kind of stamped them with the gold medal
yeah,
before we even came to this thing. There has been times where it hasn't looked great.
yeah,
At times, it may be like you said, not as dominant as maybe we've expected. But I just think we're that much better
yeah,
than these
exactly.
other countries as a whole. So I think they'll be fine too. Britt, where are you at on the men and women? What's your confidence level like?
I never doubted them. I never doubted neither one of them, to be honest with you. I always said that give them time to gel, give them time to get used to the international game or the FIBA game. It's a different game than the NBA, and you have to adjust. We've seen a couple players try to be flat out physical. You can't be that physical. And they was asking questions. You had some players on the men's side that never played in the international game, so there's an adjustment period. Plus you never played with these other stars around you, so you have to
Yeah,
understand your role. I do think that Coach K was a better coach in helping these players understand a particular role on their team versus Steve Kerr, it took a lot more time. I'm still not sure if some players quite understand it, but you can see they're starting to gel a lot more. So you really just need a time. We always say a lot of these other countries, they've been together for months, where the men's and women's USA team been together sometimes just a few days or a
yeah,
week,
yeah.
so it takes it takes time. Everybody, and I know everybody has the expectation that, you know, Joel Embiid or Tyrese Halliburton or Jason Tatum and so forth, Anthony Edwards, they're going to do what they do on their NBA teams. You know, they're the starter NBA teams. No, they're not. They can't play that way. This is a different type of team. Their role needs to diminish. And they have to also understand that. And I'm glad that they're willing to, but it takes time. For the women's, I had no doubt about it. Just again, just give them time. To me, they've been killing it. I for sure always think the women are going to win gold. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah, and I definitely think some of the rules impact the U.S. team a little bit more.
Right.
Like the defense at 3 seconds, no, you can just camp out in the lane defensively,
Mhm.
so that really takes away a lot of the slashing and driving and things like that. But K Walk, if I was going to say who's the most important player on the men's team, where would you go? Who's the most important player on the men's basketball team?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, adjust your sets, adjust your volume, adjust everything. Because what I'm about to say, if you know me, you listen to me, you wouldn't believe I'm going to say what I'm about to say. LeBron James, man. LeBron James is the most valuable guy. LeBron James is the most it just like Britt couldn't digest Ben Simmons talk earlier. I can't. It's hard for me to digest this, but all seriousness, yeah, I think LeBron James is that guy. He's the engine starter. He's doing everything. He's facilitating. He's rebounding. He's scoring. He's facilitating, and he's playing a little defense as well. So I think he's right now. I think everyone's following his lead. I mean, he's a flag bearer for a reason. He's on the Britt mentioned earlier. You know, he said he's coming out, and he's not going to have this on his watch. Basically, he's not. We're not losing on my watch. He's come out from the exhibition games to right now the quarterfinal games right now. So they're in a position to at least medal. Or put themselves in a position to medal, I should say. So yeah, LeBron James is the most valuable player to me. Nothing to take away from KD and even my man Bam is playing really good ball too. But I think overall it's LeBron.
You agree with that, Britt?
Yeah, I wasn't sure at first. Because when I felt like KD was the big difference maker on this team. Actually, it's funny. Michael Braston said similar, but I said, let's be real. KD is the big difference in this team.
He's a difference maker. I'm not saying that.
Right. So at first for me it was KD. He could score from all levels, and he actually been stepping up defensively, which really impressed me. Yeah. But when it comes from a leader standpoint, like every team needs a leader, a vocal leader, a person that says, you know what, we need to go get a basket. Let me just go down the paint, use my muscles, and go up. And that's LeBron. So yes, to me, LeBron I will have to give him credit and give him MVP.
I heard.
I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm not a LeBron hater. I think he's a fantastic player. I always thought he was a great player. I'm just not a huge LeBron rah guy. But I think when I watched this game, you need a LeBron James on your team. Now, from a scoring standpoint, you need a Kevin Durant.
Absolutely.
He's gonna bail you the heck out, and that's what he's been doing for the most part. Not quite today's game, because I think other players have finally leveled up. Or picked up their game, i.e. Joel Embiid and a couple other players as well. But I gotta say, yeah, you gotta have LeBron James on your team right now.
I think I agree. Like you can. It's hard. It's hard. I think I agree. But to Mikey's point, like, I mean, if we really think about it, and we could say, well, they hadn't gelled yet, and they needed more time together. We could say all those things, but we could also make the argument, like, if you just wanted to be in KD's corner, you could say, well, look, this team didn't look very good until KD got on the floor. We could make that argument, and those games were really tight until they had the luxury of bringing Kevin Durant off the bench in these games. So I think I agree with you guys. I think from a leadership standpoint, from a we're not going to let this thing fall apart standpoint, I do think it's LeBron, but man, what a luxury when you can bring Kevin Durant off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get where Mikey's coming from. For
Look,
sure.
look, Jay. I understand, Jay. I mean, I don't like thunderstorms. I don't like raining. But when it's happening, I gotta admit it's thunderstorming and it's raining. Sometimes I just gotta admit what I don't like.
Right.
You know, sometimes I don't like to admit that LeBron is the MVP.
Right. I mean, and look, I think we all feel pretty much the same about LeBron. Like, we give him credit. We understand his greatness, whether we are big fans of him or not. And I think most of us we're like, he's cool, right?
Yeah.
But when we watching these games, you know, his IQ ability, you know, he got some turnover issues at times, but most of the players on this team seem to have that issues as well. But there's also been some incredible passes today, you know, like the one to Jason Tatum for the alley-oop. I didn't even see that coming, but he sure enough got it there. So we got to give him credit where credit is due.
Yeah. Another feather in the LeBron fans' caps for the GOAT argument, for sure.
Jay, this might have not been a part of your topic, but is there a player that you guys are concerned about? Like, he's just not seeming to be figuring it out.
I don't think so, Britt. I mean, at least not right now. I like I said, I watched today, but not really. I was kind of doing other things and it was on. I think there were some concerns about Embiid, but I think maybe he's even gotten that figured out at this point. So I don't really think there's anyone I'm concerned about. I think when you're on a team with 12 superstars, basically, or at least stars, it's hard for any one guy to really just go off every single game. So I think for the most part, everyone's probably doing what's expected. Okay, what do you think about that?
That's a good question. I mean, Halliburton might be the only guy because he doesn't play that much.
Right.
You know, that's about the only guy that I can really think of. He's like the Christian Laettner. I'm not comparing this team to the 92 team, but when you talk about, you know, two teams that are dominant right now, I think right now they are being dominant. And you got to have that odd man out. I think the Halliburton, he just hasn't been playing. And in the beginning, or someone in the middle up until, you know, maybe 2 games ago, you could have said Jason Tatum. You could have said Jason Tatum as well, because he wasn't sure what his role was in all of this. So, but I would say Halliburton for the most part.
I feel bad for Halliburton because I feel like, I mean, it's not like, I don't think giving him some minutes would change the outcome of any of these games. And I get it, Kerr's like, it's only a 40-minute game. I only want to play 10 guys. Like, I get all that, but it's not like if you tried at Halliburton out there for 4 or 5 minutes, all of a sudden the wheels are going to fall off. So I just feel,
exactly.
You know, I just feel like, man, give the man a few minutes. It's just it's disrespectful.
And my thing was with Halliburton, you don't have to put him on as a point guard. Like, he could play off the ball, and that's what he showed. I think it was it the last game or a couple games ago when he came in and shot 2 or 3 straight threes and drilled it.
And hit him,
and hit him. So he has the ability to play off the ball, because I know that was a big thing. He has turnover issues, even when he's playing in the NBA. He has turnover issues. But play him off the ball to see what happens there. We got another comment, guys, I got to get to, because this one is interesting. Did I just lose it? I may have just lost it. Where did it go? Oh, it's right here. Mikey Brass said, I think they should bring Stephen off the bench, and KD, maybe he could get into a rhythm. So should Curry come off?
That's
the
his
bench?
guy, though. Yeah, that's his guy.
I get the point. Trying, putting Steph and KD together again. Maybe put KD in the starting lineup.
I was like, maybe we should put KD in the starting lineup.
Get that done, because
that might be the right way.
I don't see him benching Steph, or I don't even want to say benching. I don't see him coming off the bench. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't mind seeing those guys play together again. Maybe it might spark a fire in KD to want to make another move or something.
You can go back liking the Suns, Jay.
Yeah, seriously. Let me ask y'all this, and this was not on the list, but I was thinking about it, and I saw it on social media. So just give me your best off the top of the head thought on this. But I saw a lot of people saying that this year's Olympic team would smoke the 92 team.
I did see that.
That, LeBron, KD, Steph, AD, Joel, like that MJ, Magic, Bird, and Barkley, they couldn't do anything with those guys. And I know it's hard to kind of put together just off the top of your head, K-Walk, but what do you think? Like, is the team now just too dominant for that 92 team to deal with?
Nah, Jay, not at all, man. And I'm going to sound biased here because that was, back in my era. But yeah, you can look at these guys and say, yeah, they're a lot more athletic. But we talked about, the South Sudan type games and things of that nature. And I don't think you can slip up with Dream Team, man. You look at, Magic, you look at MJ, you look at Pip, you look at who was else on that team, just don't Robinson. I'm not going to Barkley. Nah, ain't nobody mess with Barkley from a mental standpoint right there. Barkley's shutting it down from a mental standpoint because when Barkley getting in your face, if he gets into KD's face, or if he gets into who else is there, I don't know. Bam might not back down, but from him. But there's some guys that down in there that might not be able to handle it from a physical standpoint or from a trash talking standpoint.
Was Dream on that team too? Was Olajuwon?
No.
Who were their big men? Was it Patrick
Ewing? Patrick Ewing and the Admiral.
The Admiral. Okay.
Yeah. But you had an old hurt Bird, so you could make some noise
definitely
there.
Wasn't himself.
Yeah.
Magic was still good, but he wasn't necessarily magic, right? I mean, that was 92. He was kind of on his way out at that point.
Yeah.
Drexler was on the team. Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
John Stockton was the point.
Karl Malone was on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Christian Laettner. Chris Mullen. I mean, I can see where they're coming from, in that aspect, but I think when it came down to it, if you got the MJ, you got the Pips, you got the Admiral, you got Magic, I think they could give them the business, man. I think they can give them the business, man. Yeah.
Britt, what say you? Because some of the people on Twitter were saying like there was nobody on that 92 team that could like deal with Embiid or deal with a guy like KD and who was going to stop LeBron, and then Steph spacing the floor. Like they were trying to make a compelling argument. Where are you at on this, Britt?
Is this a 1 game or is this a 7-game series?
It's the Olympics, so let's say it's 1 game.
1 game.
It's 1 game. Yeah.
I gotta go. I do think that this team may be more skilled. Each player may be a little bit more skilled. I mean, it's a different brand of basketball back then, right?
Yeah.
But when you're talking about from a mental standpoint, when you're talking about it's 1 game, this is it. I'm coming in and I'm getting ready to play. Look how long it took for this team to gel. That Dream Team, it seemed like they gelled in 1 game because they came out dominating everybody. Right, came out dominating everybody that you just throw at them. And then when you just got the mentality of Michael Jordan plays to never lose. That's his mentality. I will never lose. Whose mentality is that on this team?
Great point.
Go ahead, I wait.
Right.
Nobody they don't have that. Right, they don't have that type of mentality. And it's not just Michael Jordan. Like you guys said, Charles Barkley had that type of mentality. Scottie Pippen, he came in and played hard, the defensive juggernauts. David Robinson, he's 7'1", 235. So yes, he's a little bit smaller than Embiid. And Embiid, don't get me, is way more skilled than David Robinson. But David Robinson was physical as heck. To me, this team is way more physical. They came from the 90s brand of basketball. So all they know is physicality.
Yeah.
So physicality and mental. This team is more finesse and skill, I would say. So, and that team was just pure heart. So I gotta go with that 92 team. Not because I think they're more skilled, because I think come up, this is the elimination game. This is like the NFL elimination game. They're gonna play great and it's just 1 game. That's why I asked 1 game or 7-game series.
Yeah, I think I'm going 92 team as well. Like if we want to say, we think it would be close, I think the Jordan factor is the thing that for me that just cancels everything else out. Like mentally, and if it is close, I mean, who else would you rather have for a guy that needs to hit a game winner or a guy that needs to take the game over late? So I get where some of the youngsters are coming from with this, but I just don't think they realize how good that team actually was. So I'm gonna roll with the 92 team as well. All right, y'all.
Right,
Let's do.
Michael Jordan leading the team, or LeBron James leading your team. You choose.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
That's another debate, right?
All right, let's do two quick football topics. Then we're gonna wrap this thing up. Pittsburgh. It seemed like the quarterback situation, at least, when things first started, Tomlin said Russ was in pole position. It seemed like it was going to be his job to lose, and it may still be. Obviously, he's struggling a little bit with a calf injury, and Justin Fields been getting a lot of reps. Okay, well, how do you see this thing playing out, man? Is Fields kind of moving into that first spot, or do you think it's still Russ's job to lose? How do you see this thing playing out in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, if Tomlin's saying it's Russ's spot to lose, and it's Russ's spot to lose, but I don't know if you guys remember Wally Pitt back in the day with the Yankees, and when he went out with the headache, and Lou Gehrig came in, and he never got his spot back. And that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking this is a situation like this. These guys, it's a calf injury right now, and I think that I think it was too close to begin with, to be honest with you. But for Russell Wilson to get hurt or be cautious with that calf injury, then I think that gave Justin Fields an opportunity. And Justin Fields was salivating. He said, "Oh, you're going to be out for a little bit. Well, this is my opportunity." Whether they're going to, whether they're going to say you're number one, no matter what I do, I'm still going to make it a case. I'm still going to make it a case, and I think that he'll ultimately have leave no choice. He'll leave no choice to Mike Tomlin for him to be the man. Maybe they want to have Russell Wilson in there and to maybe gain trade value. I don't know, to justify. Oh no, they're not paying them. The Broncos are paying them $84 million.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. I think Justin Fields is the better quarterback. He's a younger quarterback. He's more mobile, stronger arm, things of that nature. So I think it's his job to lose. But if Mike Tomlin's saying Russ is their guy, I don't see how it could be. Because if you lose, you're just not allowed. I mean, you just don't have any room. I know this keeps coming up. It's the theme of the show, I guess. Very small margin of error. And that takes place here as well. So I like Justin Fields to be that guy, but Mike Tomlin is a man of his word. So if he says it's Russ's job, it's Russ's job.
Yeah,
he's going to make it hard for him.
Britt, when they kick off week 1, who's the starter?
Look, I'm kind of with K-Walk. If Mike Tomlin says it's Russ's job, then it's like Mike Tomlin doesn't lie too much in our faces. He basically tells us kind of how it is. And I know I've seen some of the Justin Fields highlights, and looks like he's been performing very, very well. But what else don't we know, right? We could see the highlights. It's a lot of the things that we also don't see. So I know Russ is a little bit older, but we all kind of felt in some way that Russ didn't quite get a fair deal over in Bronco world. He got stuck with a horrible head coach, in my opinion. And then the next head coach that came in, Ari, was basically like, all right, well, you're getting older, you kind of out. And we understood in how they treated him as well. So I don't think he got a fair deal over there. I think because I still think he got something left. He's older, but I still think he has something left.
Yeah.
And I think people are kind of underestimating Russ. He just needs to make sure he stays healthy and needs to be in a system that he understands, that makes sense. I don't think anything the Broncos did really made sense. So I'm going to say right now, Russ is going to get it. But we'll see how those first couple regular season games go. Regular season games go. And if not, then I say Justin Fields would jump in there. But I don't think Justin Fields is far behind him. That's what I will say.
I think he's ahead of him personally. I think he's ahead of him.
Yeah.
I just don't think they want to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go the other way. I think Justin Fields is gonna win that job in camp. Like Tomlin might be saying right now, yeah, Russ is in pole position, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's his job to win football games. And if Fields gives him the best chance to win, he's got to make that move. And the thing about it, too, at least what we're hearing, is that Fields is building a lot of camaraderie with the team. They like the way he's playing. Leadership is there. and he's like a younger, faster version of Russ. Now maybe and also because they're both in a new offense, it's not like one really had a head start on the other. So I don't know. I think if not by game 1, definitely by week 4, I think Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Question: is Justin Fields, is he on his 5th year?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So
they're both can be free agents next year. They both can be free agents next year. Because
now that's going to be interesting, because if they
Right.
like Justin Fields and they don't want nobody to see him,
yeah, but not only, I think what Mike Tomlin is doing, I think he's keeping the competition and alive, and I think he's keeping the quality of play alive by not announcing who's the QB1 and Russ is their guy. Because if he continues to say that, then he's going to continue to get the best out of Justin Fields and vice versa. So and I think Russ knows what the deal is, that he's right on his heels. So I think he's saying all this. He's saying all the right things and making all the right moves, meaning Mike Tomlin, because I think of the fact of the matter is he wants to keep that quarterback competition alive, gritty, and get a lot of energy there. So and it's going to be hard for him to, or for anybody to say, who would you rather go with, Russ or Justin Fields? And I think that's going to bring the best out of both of them. Go ahead, Brave. Sorry.
I think my other question is, though, like I go back to what we're not able to see. Is there something that we're not able to see? Because Justin Fields sometimes have an issue with decision making at times, right? Is that something that we're not able to see? I know we get to see all the highlights and all the exciting stuff on Twitter. I'm sorry, X, whatever you want to call it, or on social media. But Mike Tomlin is there. Mike Tomlin is watching them every single day, So I'm just curious to know if there's something that we're not seeing, because people personally don't like Russell Wilson for whatever reason. They personally don't like Russell Wilson. For I don't know why. So they'll kind of gear it towards, we want Justin. Justin's better. Justin should be this, that, and the third. But I'm just thinking, like, if Mike Tomlin is saying this, then we kind of got to believe what Mike Tomlin's saying. I know it's big to have quarterback competition and all that, and a lot of camps have that. Well, a lot of camps who not sure who their quarterback's going to be. But I just feel like there's something that we're not able to see. And that's why Mike Tomlin is saying it. Because I feel like Mike Tomlin would tell us, like, Justin Fields is our guy right now. I mean, I don't see the harm in saying that.
I think what we're also going to have to see is how much they play in preseason as well. Like how much, if there is something there. I don't expect them to play in the first game, but we may see one or two. If it's Russ's job, we don't see either one. If it's open competition, we're going to see both. That's in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you get Brandon Ayuk, then it's like, who do you really want to be the quarterback there? Do you want the more experienced guy, or do you want the younger guy that could grow and develop with these guys? So it'll be interesting.
And as much as there's questions about Fields, and maybe rightfully so, I mean, Russ hasn't been great the last couple of years either. I mean, we can say, and it would be fair, like, the situation hasn't been great for him, but even in Seattle, those last years in Seattle, it wasn't really great either. So, I mean, I think both these guys have some questions that need to be answered. All right, y'all, let's end the show with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Britt,
threw me off there.
That was.
I thought we were just talking about the American team.
K-Walk, we're
talking about the Olympics. I'm like,
Britt,
the race.
Britt, I know you probably didn't catch the show, but K-Walk did an America's Team show on his show. And Britt, he admitted that the Dallas Cowboys were America's team on that show.
Is that based off of financials?
It was just based off of everything. It was just based off of everything.
But who did I lead off with?
K-Walk came in with one argument, but he left. He said, "You know what, guys? I got to agree. The Cowboys are America's team."
Jay. Let me ask K-Walk. K-Walk, I didn't see it, but was it based off of sales, marketing, and finances, or was it based off of winning?
A lot of these guys had compelling arguments, Jay included, and that had a lot to do with it, Britt. That had a lot to do with it as far as
finances,
the sales, the Forbes. They're I think what 6 billion, whatever the number is.
Attendance, TV ratings. We brought all the facts, bro.
And one of the things what I noticed is, I mean, what somebody said, I don't know if you said it, Jay, you may have said it, that no matter what, if you're gonna you watch the Cowboys to either do one or two things, win or lose. That's and it makes a valid point. It made a valid point there. So I use my Dennis Green as, if we're gonna crown him, then we're gonna crown him. That's what we said. And that's what I use. That's all I could say over there, bro.
Yeah.
I just don't like to be represented by losers. That's we're gonna call them.
That's my argument, bro. That was my argument. I thought the Steelers.
If you want to be America's team, you could be America's team. I don't care, but I don't want to be part of America if we're gonna be represented by losers. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's harsh. That's harsh, Britt. But
yeah.
But more importantly, CD Lamb is not planning on being at training camp, Britt.
Yeah.
How much does this hurt America's great team, the Dallas Cowboys?
All right.
Is this going to be an issue for the Cowboys, Britt?
Stop stretching it, because America's great team. I guess if we following it, then maybe the Dow. That's the reason why the Dow's crashing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because y'all broke. Y'all the reason why.
Oh, Lord.
Y'all the reason why they trying to predict a recession again. But no, I'm sorry. Your question was CD Lamb and the impact.
Yeah.
Because he's not there in trading camp.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This one is tough. I mean, I guess for Dak Prescott and his sake, then you want to, but this shit already had that camaraderie. This is not like this is the first year CeeDee Lamb hasn't been there. They both know the offense. It's the same head coach, it's the same coordinator as last year, Mike McCarthy. I don't think they went out and said the play calling is going to be switched over to anybody else. So you should know everything. I think the only issue was maybe the offensive line getting used to having Zeke back again. But again, there's a lot of familiarity there. So I don't think having CeeDee Lamb impact, I don't think it's a big loss right now. I don't really think it's a big deal. I think once they pay him, because they said they're going to pay him, and they're pretty close to trying to figure that out to get him back with the team, I think they'll be fine. They'll be able to pick off what they were from last year. If it was a new player, that you just traded for, like a Hassan Reddick, for instance, if he's not in camp, now I'm more concerned. Because you don't have that chemistry with him. He doesn't understand the defense or the offense, with this particular team or coordinator. You don't know how things flow. But CeeDee Lamb, he's been here. He got drafted here. He's been here for 4 years now. He's used to the quarterback. He's used to the coach. I don't have any concerns right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be all right. But K-Walk, do you see this potentially dragging on? Like, could he potentially miss games, or do you think they'll get it done before that happens?
That's a definitely a tough question. I don't see him missing games, Jay. I don't think that's old school, and we don't see a lot of old school in football.
Yeah.
And, I think they'll get it done beforehand. Now, if he misses games, that's going to be something really. Wow, that's going to be huge. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna play Captain Obvious there, but I don't see it going. I don't see it going into the season. I think they get it done, but when they get it done, you got to look at Dak and see how he's going to be. Because I don't understand why they're not looking to pay Dak, and if they do pay Dak before they pay CD's now asking, like, what's going on here? I'm the one holding out. But I think that he's a quality guy, man. I think he's more valuable to the Cowboys than Brandon Ayuk is to the 49ers. And I think he's deserving of that money, to be honest with you. Whatever he's asking for, I think you give that to CeeDee from the Cowboys.
You better hope Brandon Ayuk ain't watching this. Ouch.
Brandon Ayuk can do whatever he want right now. I told you how I felt about Brandon Ayuk. I want you back, brother. I want you back. But we already thought that Debo was more valuable than Brandon Ayuk. So there's some leverage there from the 49ers standpoint.
Well, hopefully go ahead, Britt.
Yeah, Jay, when you put in that type of question, if he starts missing games, then I think the Cowboys are in trouble, because who else do they have? Michael Galloway's no longer there. Actually, I think he retired, if I can recall. I think Gallup. I think he retired. But like you said, even if he was, he's still not. Who is the other receiver? Is Brandon Cook still there? Is it Brandon Cook?
I think it is. It is Cooks, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, that
So,
shows you how deep I
and
am actually
Oh,
with the
wow.
team. But
and then that just shows you, Brandon Cook. He at one point in time he was a young talented receiver, but he gets hurt a lot. And he tends to go. Last year he was missing an action a few games. Now I don't know if that was on the fault of him or on the fault of Dak Prescott for not looking his way and only looking CeeDee Lamb's way. I think that was one of the main issues in that playoff game. He was only looking one way. I'm not sure, but if he starts missing regular season games, the Cowboys are really in trouble.
yeah, no, I agree. But to your point, K Walk, I think you're right. That is more of an old school mentality.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen any of these guys doing that now. So
Right.
for myself and all the great Cowboys fans around the world, hopefully this thing gets done
It,
quickly.
is he holding? Is he holding out or holding in?
I think out. I think out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he's getting
Yeah,
fined every day.
out.
He's not missing.
So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
it gets done quickly. All right, y'all. That was good stuff. Great way to end the show. Okay, Walk, before we get out of here, man, let the people know where they can find you and what you're looking forward to the rest of this week.
Yeah, guys. You can find me on Facebook, Kevin Walker. You can find me on Instagram, Kevin.Walker142. You can find me on X. I'm gonna start to get into the mix of that. At Kevin Walker142. And you can catch me tomorrow night on Wednesday nights. It's Sports Talk with K Walk, E. Scott. Never had it so good sports radio. Wherever you get your podcast, ladies and gentlemen, tune into that 7 p.m. God willing. I say that because we've been dealing with some technical difficulties later. Last week we were good to go, so I'm hoping that it remains the same this week. But yeah, check us out. We got a great one dialed up for you tomorrow night. We got our question of the week that we pose on Sports Talk with K Walk and E. Scott. Check out that Facebook page as well. Our Knuckleheads of the week as well, and of course E. Scott's entertainment segment. May put some money up on the line for that. But Britt, Jay, come on through. Yeah, y'all know the code. Y'all know the code. 347-637-3286.
All right, good stuff, K Walk. Yeah, you guys can find me at Jason Talk Sports. What's up, Barbie? Glad you're listening. Another family member showing up for the show. Appreciate it, B. You guys can find me at Jason Talk Sports. And this week, I think I'm gonna just lock in Olympics. Couple more days of the Olympics, so definitely be checking that out. And then, man, I don't know. We get some preseason football this weekend, so I'll be locked in on that. Britt, what you got for us?
Before I go, next show we're gonna have to talk about this. Patrick Ewing is better than Embiid. But I'm gonna hold that for next week.
We'll get into that next week. Come back next week, Sports T. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we definitely gonna have to talk about that one. Sure enough, did because we got a conversation. Sports T, you better come back next week as well, because we got to get into that one for sure. Yeah, but anyway, that threw me off when I seen it. Threw me off. But no, you guys can catch me on IG at Brittany Monique's at the bottom of my screen. Also on X, aka or formerly known as Twitter, TikTok. Sure, you can follow me on there as well. I'm not on there as much, but IG and X for the most part. And then what I'm looking forward to the rest of the Olympics, the 400-meter hurdles finals coming up. I think it's tomorrow. 200-meter finals is tomorrow as well. Basketball, and then NFL preseason. I know it's just preseason, but most of our teams play this week or this weekend. I know my team plays Friday. K-Walk, I'm pretty sure your team's coming up as well. Saturday. Jay, I don't know when the Cowboys play, but I'm pretty sure it's sometime this week.
Yeah.
And I don't care if the fourth stringers are just playing. I'm watching. So, because I'm excited.
Some of our four stringers are from a receiver standpoint are going to be very valuable to watch for us.
I'm looking forward to seeing T.O.'s son. What's his first name, K-Walk?
Tariq.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I want to see what he can bring. That'll bring back some memories of T.O. All right, y'all. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. We'll be back here live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow this channel. Any support we get from you, we appreciate. And for Brittany Jones and Kevin Walker, I'm Jason Collins. We'll see you guys next week.